अच्छा चलें हम लोग शुरू करते हैं टाइम हो गया तो आई मीन ये सेशन बाद में रिकॉर्ड भी होगा तो Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ahmad Malik, and I'm a FAST alumni from Lahore, 92 to 94. I've been in the US for a number of years, for about 23 years. So um, I've seen a lot of alumni come in, and I've visited back in Pakistan and delivered some of these topics as seminars to Lahore campus and Islamabad campus. So the topic of today's session is successful traits for technology professionals. Basically, these are the soft skills you'll need to grow. Before I go into it, I mean, I just want to a little bit let you know about FAST Alumni Association North America, or we call FAANA. This is a nonprofit organization that was set up about 10 years, more than 10 years ago, by alumni like yourself. And we were able to set this chapter up in Washington at the Microsoft campuses, but since then it has expanded and we have alumni from all Lahore campus, Karachi, Islamabad campus. We right now do not have alumni from Peshawar and Faisalabad, like in just as soon as we know about them, we'll add them to this list there. So our mission at FAANA is to support students with donations that we collect so that we could provide financial assistance. Other purpose is to support the students with these webinar series or helping them with their final year projects. So we are starting that pilot. So last year we collected a significant amount and were able to distribute about 6 million rupees to Pakistan. And this year we are also looking to collect about $60,000 so that we could share that with all the 5 campuses, especially for students and some research projects. So you can find more information about our alumni association at faana.org. You're welcome to join our Facebook pages, like our page, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. So the way I'm going to talk about this seminar is I'm going to go through some of these traits, and then we would reserve the question and answers towards the end. And this is basically something that I attended a session back in 1999. I went to an Oracle conference and somebody shared this session with me, and this helped me make my own career. I started as a programmer with a company, and I eventually grew to the rank of business analyst, project manager, application manager, director, and VP. And most recently, I was up until a week ago, I was a head of technology at the second largest childcare provider in the US. So FAST तो मैंने 94 में graduate किया था. Then I came here. I did my bachelor's and master's alongside, and I started working too. Meanwhile, I'm also right now the FAANA president, working with a team of 5 people who are working really hard to make sure that we could provide webinars or benefits to our alumni that are in the US and our students that are back in Pakistan there. So the purpose of this topic is to make sure that you know beyond the technical skills. I mean, everybody knows technical skills are evolving, and it's becoming more and more difficult, more and more complex. So as a technology professional, your skill set includes like vast number of development tools, and you need to understand how everything works. When I graduated, all I needed to know was a C++ programming, as Oracle database. So I used to work really just on those 2 platforms. But now I am expecting of my developers to know all the stacks, development, web app, and especially if you're looking at the DevOps, you want the developers to also understand the operation side of it. So technology, I'm not going to tell you how to learn about it. You guys have been trained, you guys have been educated, and I'm sure you have now those foundational skills that would help you grow those technical skills. So what I want to focus on is the softer skills needed in today's marketplace. Companies are paying less and less attention to soft skills and focusing on technical capabilities, technical abilities, which I feel is important. However, soft skills would make it a really good things. It makes a whole fully rounded individual that could deliver some exceptional quality, deliver results. So I will be going through a list of about 14 to 16 competencies and give you some tools about how do you develop those things. And these skills are as important as somebody's technical capabilities. I believe an ideal candidate, ideal technology professional has excellent soft skills. And while technical skills can be taught, these skills cannot easily be taught. I could plant a seed now and assume that you will grab it and learn it, but these are inherent in all of the people. It just needs to be brought out. So with that, I mean, I'm going to jump into some of these soft skills without explaining like these are not in any order. So we will see how we could look at how do you evaluate yourself on how's your attitude or how are different skill set, and then I'll provide you with some tools. So number one, I think an individual should have a good attitude. What happens when the going gets tough? What happens when an individual is in a tough situation? Is a person optimistic or a pessimistic? Some people say I'm a realist, which is another word for being pessimistic too often. So I feel a person should always have a good attitude, a positive attitude to go in to fix things, not always bringing out problems there. So I mean, you can look at the bright side of the things. If you're positive, if you're negative, others around you would get negative too. Negativism is contagious. Always think about can-do attitude. I can do it. I can do this. लेकिन अगर आप ये सोचना शुरू करेंगे, but I cannot do that. Oh, these are the problems. These are the hurdles. Then it makes it hard to do anything. So attitude is key. The other thing, customer-oriented. And when I talk about customer, and it's not just the customer of your organization, it's your boss, it's your peers, it's the people that report up to you. And how do you deal with that? There are people who are going to be unreasonable at times. How would you handle unreasonable customers? How do you reply? This becomes really important when you are a consultant or you are being asked to deliver something. So the things that have helped me is looking at the things looking at the customer's need from their perspective, from their put yourself in their shoes and see how you can respond and present different alternate to those solutions there. So I mean, especially when you are a technologist and the customer is saying, oh, I want to make this thing work this way, you're the expert. So you could tell them, hey, these are the various options. These are the pros and cons. Is the customer always right? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, it may not be, but a customer is a customer. They're bringing you the ideas. They're most probably in some cases paying you for that service. So you have to learn how to be customer service. You probably have seen if you call someplace and if they're not talking to you nicely, it's like you don't have a good impression of the company too. You're representing that company as well. So customer oriented is another quality to have. This is a big one, honesty and integrity. To me, when I hire an employee, I always look at, is the person can provide me example of integrity or provide an example of honesty. Like I'll give you scenarios. What do you do if you identify a defect that may jeopardize the success of the application? Would you really raise it and say, hey, there is a bug, or you would go say, okay, let's let it go. I mean, think about, are there any situation where lying is okay, or every honesty is the best policy? So in my mind, always tell the truth, especially on the resumes too, when I see people are overstating the capabilities. So always develop that your impression that this person is authentic, this person is direct, this person is always saying the right things. Communication skills. Communication skills is another important thing. I mean, communication skills requires you to talk to different people with different levels, with different their mindset. So when you're talking to a student of 10th grade, 8th grade, you have to talk in their terms. When you're talking to a customer, you have to talk in their terms. Often I've seen in the technology world, we tend to use technical jargons, and then the business do not understand what we are talking about. So we have to be really careful about using the language that we're not trying to make them think of us as a being a really complex and expert and know all these things. We want to communicate to them so that they could understand our thoughts clearly. They could understand our communication clearly. So and communication also, skills also means like, how do you conduct meetings? How do you conduct meetings effectively? How do you conduct it remotely? How do you engage people? So I really think when you're speaking, you have to think before you speak. And there is this acronym that has really helped me for a long time. If I'm speaking, I want to make sure it's true, it's helpful, it's inspiring, and it's necessary. And whatever you're saying is kind. Uh, think about how other person is going to respond. Make them feel good. When you leave a conversation, ensure that the person leaving is leaving with a good thoughts. They enjoy your company there. Communication is really key. That comes hand in hand with, okay, you have a good attitude, you have good customer service. Communication skill is important. Okay, another thing, resourcefulness. You could say this is also a technical skill set, but I consider it more of a problem solving type of things. What happens when you get stuck on a problem? What do? Do you just go to Google, search it? Do you contact your friends? How do you try to solve a problem? It's okay that if you are stuck in a problem, but I would say don't spend too much time on it. Make sure you have a library of reference material like online documentation, books, quick reference guides. Obviously, Google helps there, but curating which is the most useful information is another thing that you have to think about. Subscribe to newsletters, join online communities. All of this network helps you develop your skill set. I would say that when I graduated, all we had was an American library and a British library in Islamabad, and we didn't have internet at that time. And you guys have a lot more skill set. You, at this point, there's no difference between a student in Pakistan and a student in US. You guys have access to the same resources, open source, and all of the internet and devices to connect to that. So today you could be really, you could connect to a lot of people globally and learn from them. Organizational skill, that's another thing. First of all, are you an organized person that prioritizes? Can you successfully work on multiple projects? I mean, these are some critical skill set. One of the story that I heard from somebody was like how we should prioritize. And they said, okay, first to the stuff that is the most important, big stuff, then work on the smaller stuff, and then on the smallest stuff. There was this this thing a professor was showing, and he put a jar and put big rocks and asked the students, hey, can anything else we put in this? They said no. So he took in small pebbles and put that in there. and then it filled the jar. And he asked the students, hey, can anything else be filled in this thing? The student said, no, now it's filled. So he put in sand and he filled all of it. Then he said, does anything else can fit in it? Students are like, okay, that's enough. We cannot put anything more. Then he took water and put it in that bucket there. So the point is, you first take care of big items, then take care of smaller items, then take care of the smallest item. So this way you would efficiently organize your time. I would recommend using a planning tool, prioritizing on a daily and weekly basis. Set up your goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, yearly goals. What do you want to do? One other advice that I received as I was attending various seminars and things, everybody has a to-do list of what to do. I also have a list of not to do. So things that I could stop doing to focus on what the things that we want to do. So as you grow in your skill set, you have to give up those other habits or teach it to others, delegate to others. That frees you up to learn new things, to grow in an organization. I kind of touched on this thing as a part of the resourcefulness and problem solving ability. What happens when you're confronted by a challenge? Do you ask for help too quickly? Or do you spend too much time to solve a problem? Can you create new creative solutions there? So again, as I mentioned, try to solve the problem yourself, but don't waste too much time. Reach out to your resources and get some help. There's nothing wrong with that. Love of learning. This is another thing. Do you know everything? Do you search for better ways of something? Do you spend time outside of work to learn something new? Every month I look at what I am learning. There is sometimes I hear about these terminologies, DevOps or uh, uh, say agile development or AWS or Azure Cloud. So I'm always attending these small little seminars to learn something. If you're not learning, your mind would become slower and slower. So I recommend allocating time every week to learning something new. When a new tool or feature comes out, try writing an app in it. I mean, the other day I was learning AWS. Okay, I spun up a server. I spun up I made an app there. But here's the thing: in practical, I would not be doing it because I would have team there, but it helps me understand what kind of issues they could run with. I won't be able to know everything that my team knows, but there should be enough that I could have a good conversation with them. So learning, develop a love of learning, always learn something new. Even if it is as small as, okay, a new function in an Excel, learning pivot tables, learning graphs or something, just learn something new. Um, in this day and age, I don't know how it matters or not, but when I was growing up, this was a big deal. How long a person stays at a company and why do they leave jobs? Is it really for the money? Is it for the challenges? Is it for some other things? I recommend that whatever you do, every company has opportunities. You give it your best and do the best thing and work at that company as if this is the last company I'll work for. So just really work hard, give it your best. And I would recommend not jumping from companies a lot because it just does not look good. There is no sense of, it doesn't become like a sense of loyalty. And people then would ask you for explanation. Oh, there's maybe something is wrong with the person. So I say at least spend 3 years, 2, 3 years or, or more at a company. I've been in the US, I've worked literally at a couple of companies, but in different roles, 12 years at each company. It helped me develop my skill set and grow in that company as well. Um, Talked about it as a planning, but in the planning session, but it's goal oriented is another thing that you have to be really thinking about. What are your short-term goals? What are your long-term career goals? Do you want to get into management? Do you want to stay technical? Oh, there could be technical management, but at some point you would have to make that distinguished. separate step there. Going into management is a little bit different. Uh, then, if you understand your where do you want to go, then make an understanding of, or understand what would it take to get to the next level. Um, is it you like training? You like to have right mentors? You like education? So set achievable short-term goals on a quarterly basis, set achievable long-term goals on a yearly basis, and really think about what you want to do. Because having a picture in the front is really helpful to get to that. Often some people would be so much stuck in the past and the history. Oh, we used to be good, we did this much. I say history is good, you learn from it, but always think about the future. Be optimist how you could do it, how you would learn to move forward, grow your career. And as you set the goals, you have to have energy and drive and initiatives to improve yourself. Look for it. Look for opportunities to improve, not just from your companies, from your peers, your family, your people that report to you, or your managers, and just ask them: is there anything that you could improve about yourself? So. Think about whatever is given to you. Do you always exceed expectation, or do you work to do that? So I recommend go above and beyond your day-to-day responsibilities, and accomplish one more thing each week. You'd say, okay, I'm going to do this, just do one more thing. So show your energy, drive, and take initiative. Be action oriented. uh, Hard worker. This is a important one. I mean, are you 8 to 5er? Or in Pakistan, it's probably more like 10 to 10 type thing. Different people have different things. Are you just working on the work times, or do you do whatever it takes to get a job done? At the same time, are you a workaholic, working all the time? I recommend to establish work and life harmony. Your work is good. You should have a good family life, good health. So you need to figure out when to give priority to each one. There are times where your family or your life would require more times than your work. And there will be times where your work would require more time. So just figure out, how do you balance this thing? Work smarter and harder, not longer. Um, I mentioned working on high priority items or bigger items, and don't be distracted by tasks that are not important. Uh, One of the example I'll give you is when the email came out, everything used to be done through email. And we had this habit of storing emails in different folders and organizing it. And we would end up spending a lot of time organizing the emails. So about 10 years ago or 15 years ago, whenever Google came in, you stopped that habit. You could put emails in one folder and just search it based on keywords. So basically, you don't need to spend time on those tasks that are not value added. So think about what to have a to-do list and not to-do list. So that would make your life really easier. Train others. Often people have this sense of, oh, if I train somebody else, they would take my job. I would say more often than not, if you train somebody else, that person would be appreciative of learning that new skill set. Again, it would free you to learn or to take on more responsibilities. I've been very blessed as I was growing in my company that I was the youngest manager and youngest director, youngest VP. This was only happening not because I was the smarter. They were all, my team members were the smartest people that I've ever known, but they didn't have time to take on new things. So I would still utilize their work, their knowledge, their advice, and I would say that I'm working for them. And it just free yourself up to learn more things. Work smarter. Enthusiasm. It goes hand in hand with drive and energy. Do you love your job? Do you enjoy going to work every morning? Is there excitement in your voice, in your action? These things are really important. I am blessed that my job is my hobby too. I remember when we were studying at FAST, uh, so, I was doing programming. I was enjoying so much that somebody told me, "Hey, they hired programmers." I'm like, "Programmers? They hired? They pay for doing this thing? This is such fun." So, fortunately, I mean, my whole nonprofit work is also technical too. So it would be a great thing if your hobby and job is the same thing, but love your job, learn doing it. I mean, too much complaining and criticizing, these are negativism. It is contagious and it's not going to help you. So uh, be passionate about what you're doing, believe in what you're doing, understand when you're part of a company, understand what is the mission of the company. Everybody knows how to do things, what are we doing things. What we don't know is why we do things. And for when I was at the Learning Care Group, we were serving 100,000 children every day. They would come across 900 schools every day. We had 22,000 teachers, and it was a very fulfilling and satisfying job to make sure that we are providing technology services to make their lives easier, to make children safer, to uh, make them not worry about the technology. They should worry about the children. So that's how you create excitement and passion about the work that you do. And as you say that, other people also get that positive vibe and then learn from it. Uh, Keep a trend of your performance over time. Um, have you been successful at your previous jobs? Make a list of whatever the results that you've gained. Have you been promoted quicker than average? You won any company award? It just tells you that how you are spending your time. Speak with the manager and see how you could learn and do more. See what it takes to get to the next level. So it's very similar to your own career growth there too. Spending and having good connections with the manager of managers, and your peers really would help you. Um, Fast learning. How quickly do you learn things? Do you need training, or can you learn it on your own? So it is, as you develop the love of learning, I would say at that point you won't be waiting for training to try new products. You download it and try it, apply previous experience and relate to the task at hand, and that would help you gain new skill set. So um, even if you become manager, there's nothing wrong with, okay, downloading a certain tool and trying it. I mean, the other day I was playing with Power BI. I've got a team who would develop ETL and develop these reports, but Power BI is good. It may come in handy someday. Um, Last but not least, team player. All these soft skills are important, but working with teams is really important. You will alone not be able to accomplish as much as you do when you're working with a team. Everybody in the world is working with others. Uh, So a question to ask yourself, are you a team player? Are you willing to help out a team member when they're in need? And um, how do you react to that? Somebody shared with me, team is more like together everybody achieves more. So look out for your team members, help them, and help them grow. That also would help you if you want to grow in an organization. Other would be saying, hey, this is a really good guy, he helps me with this thing, he helped me learn this thing. And the managers hear it, other hear it, and then it helps you with the promotion there too. So these are just my random thoughts on some of the soft skills that are needed. If you look at these 16 items and just think about, okay, where do you stand in these things, and what can you do to improve on these things? I guarantee you, over the course of the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you will grow in an organization. You'll have a more satisfying career, you'll have a more satisfying personal and professional life there, and it's overall it's good. uh, Even though there are tremendous demand for IT talent, everybody is more and more technology is being used, don't forget about the soft skills. Always look to improve yourself. Find a job that you love to do and be best at it. So these are just something that I try to preach through my actions, through my communication. Again, softer skills are really important. So with that, I want to open it up to all of you. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to help and assist or answer or clarify anything that you have. So feel free to unmute yourself and please let me know. So I see quite a bit of people. You can also put your questions in the chat. So I don't have any, there isn't any question that is coming up.
Sir, आवाज आ रही है?
Trying to say something that I'm having hard time hearing.
Sir, are you listening to me?
Yes, I could hear you now.
Yes, sir. Sir, मेरा सवाल ये था कि someone wanted to settle in abroad, then what would be our first step?
Okay, just again, can you repeat your question, please? Kashif, can you repeat your question?
Sir. Sir, मैं ये पूछ रहा हूँ कि अगर कोई foreign settle होना चाहता है तो what would be first step?
Acha. So the question is, if somebody wants to go to the foreign side, what would be the first step? It really depends on what is your goal. अभी हमने कोई 2-3 महीने पहले एक सेशन किया था. It was on how to settle in the US. And we had a panel interview about what is your goals, whether you want to come for H1 or you want to come for studies. And it depends on that. So US आने का different तरीका होता है, Europe का different होता है. Lekin the main thing is you have to have a good background, you have to have a good resume there too. And if you're coming for universities, I mean, you have to apply with the GPA and GMAT. So koi ek step nahi hai. There are multiple steps there. I would really recommend you listening to that how to come to the US webinar that we delivered. It is on our YouTube channel. Okay. Any other questions?
Got it, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Well, if you don't have any questions, I mean, I will be posting this thing on the YouTube channel, and you can always reach us from the FAST Alumni's Facebook page, and let us know if you have any other questions or you need any other help. Thank you very much for joining. Assalamu alaikum.